Well, good morning again. So, list of things to do before the kit arrives is getting a little bit shorter now. I think I'm going to just clean up the shocks today because they're going to go back on at least temporarily till I can afford to buy some nice suspension. And yes, that's an easy win. The exhaust is still proving a bit of a conundrum. I could always buy my way out of the problem, but I'm trying to look for an easy option. I mean, what happened originally when I bought the car, it was a breaker. So the guys who I bought it off had already cut off the exhaust from just before the cat in the downpipe from the manifold. And yeah, then they gave me another exhaust, which looked at the time like it was the exhaust they'd cut off. But then when I got home, I realized it didn't have the second lambda sensor in it, which had been cut off under the seat. It's also clearly an aftermarket cat, so it's not really worth anything. And the cuts don't line up, so it wasn't actually the cut from the car. So I could try and patch it up. However, that pipe is a different size to that pipe. I think it's about 1/4 inch difference. And yeah, so then I'll have to end up cutting that off and welding a new thing on that really scruffy, rusty plate. With the exhaust, I want to get a nice exhaust in the future, but I want to get through the IVA smoothly. So I want to put pretty much bog standard exhaust on it, apart from maybe the back box. Now, I don't really like the MEV one. I've seen another one, which I think looks a hell of a lot better, which is a custom job, but it doesn't really have a back box. So that might be more of a challenge with IVA and noise limits and stuff. So yeah, I'm still undecided, but I know as soon as I put the chassis on top of everything, everything's going to be a hell of a lot harder to access and get to. So I'm in the process of asking around to see if anyone's got a 2.5 exhaust, which I can just chuck on. I don't really mind the condition. I'll just put some silver paint on it and it'll be good to go again. But yeah, that's kind of where I am with the exhaust at the moment. So the other thing I need to plan ahead with is I need to actually sit down and do the research into how am I going to run the brake and fuel lines front to back, and then order some materials to do that, oversize them at either end so I can trim them down afterwards, and then get them in when the chassis arrives and upside down, because I've got to, as I understand it, I've got to first things first turn it upside down, probably on the driveway, because unless I build some, to be honest, I could actually bring it up here and here we are, spitballing on the go. I could build some trestles over the top of this, and I could then sit the whole frame upside down on trestles, and then I could use that as a chance to fit the floor and keep it all under cover, because I'm a little bit worried about leaving the frame on the driveway, because a lot of scrap metal dealers drive by and I'd hate for someone to nick it and scrap it, which would be ironic. But yeah, so if I can get it down here, I might just have to build a couple of trestles in advance. So I might start planning that later today, actually, because I've got some leftover wood from taking apart the veg plot, which I need to get out the way anyway, so maybe I'll just do that. The other thing is I've still got these nice sturdy ceiling brackets, so I could strap it to the ceiling, which is another option, which I might well do. I am just conscious though that it's going to be quite difficult to move it down here, keep it held up in the air with a number of people I presume I'm going to need, and at the same time start tying knots around all these things with bits of old rope and covering it all in padding. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to think about logistically when working in this really small spot. But yeah, I've only got steering column and brake calipers really left to paint, and then I'm just going to wipe down the suspension so it looks good for YouTube, even though it's only going to be on there temporarily. But the cardboard box I sat the rear axle on has decided to collapse, not unexpectedly, so I kind of need to jack the back up anyway and get it on some axle stands. So I'll have to go dig them out of the garage somewhere. I think I've got some on loan to friends. See if I can find them all. But yeah, just a kind of a nice relaxed Friday morning for me. So I managed to find a standard 1.8 VVT exhaust mid pipe, which I placed an order for. It was supposed to come with a lambda sensor, but turns out that even though they included it in the photo and didn't say anything in the description otherwise, they didn't include it, so I had to order that one separately. But that would allow me to get rid of the old wrong exhaust and start to mock up the new one a little bit later on. So, firstly, I'm a bit annoyed that my nice orange paintwork's been damaged by test fitting that bloody exhaust. So I'll have to do some touching up on that one, I think. But I figured, seeing as I got the back nice and level now, I might as well chuck the fluid in the diff, because it shouldn't need to come apart again. I'd already sealed up the drain hole, and I've got an old, I think it's the old breather hose from the top of the engine, that I'm just going to use to funnel it down into it till it pours out. So just stick that in there and then I'll feed it in through there. In terms of the oils, so I've gone with whatever appeared to be the most recommended one, and I believe it's this one, which appears when you first read the packaging to be identical to the other ones here, except that one says LS and these ones don't, which I believe means limited slip. So I've got these 3 because although it's supposed to only take 2 in the gearbox, you need another 100mm for the turret. Actually I could fill up the gearbox now as well. One thing at a time. Right, so I'm going to do the limited slip first and just fill that up. Can't remember what it takes. I think it was like half a litre to a litre or something, but either way I made sure I'd ordered enough of it. And I'd imagine, like most of these things, it'll smell pretty awful. Yes it does. Smells absolutely foul. Rubbish away. And then away we pour. I have cleaned out this pipe with a bit of brake cleaner, so it's not that filthy inside. I do have a syringe pump for doing fluids like this, but where you can get above it, I find this just to be easier and tidier. Plus it means I don't have to go and clean out my my other funnel pump thing. It's going in slowly. Again there. Ah, there we go, finally it's dripping out. Nip that up a sec. Don't go too tight, just tight enough. And hopefully don't have to look at that for a long time again. Right, done, I suppose. Yep. Right, so probably should research this first, but I'm thinking that's the fill, that's the drain, because it seems about right and they don't seem like other options. I put a level on it and it's near as dam level, so it's a good place to start. I think I just need a spanner to fit that fill plug, because of course you're supposed to do the fill plug before you do the drain plug. Although now the gearbox is empty because it all drained out the back anyway, it should be relatively easy. And in true Mazda fashion, this one's a 14 and tight. Great. There we go. Come on, you. Yeah, move it. It's a tight one. There we go. Okay, so that just doesn't really seem to have a proper seal on it. I think it's just done up till it's tight with a little bit of sealant on it. So yep, can do that again, and good to see it's nice and clean. Right, and a big socket for the bottom one. Yeah, 24. Seems a bit absolute overkill for a drain plug. You know, my elbow is hurting. I'm not going to injure myself anymore, so I'm just going to get a bigger tool to do the job. There we go. The little magnet on this has picked up a little bit of swarf. Well, nothing particularly bad, I don't think. Obviously, I haven't actually driven the car before I took it apart from up the alleyway. It did feel like it all went into gear fine, but I only tried first gear. Maybe reverse, I can't remember. Probably just first though. So I'm just going on the trust in the faultless reliability of MX5s to make it all okay. So many people don't like sealant and using it, but I only ever do a job once. I don't have to do it twice because it doesn't leak. And I don't know, but something in my mind just doesn't feel comfortable about the idea of metal sealing against metal when both metals oxidize, and I just think this is going to create a more lasting seal. So keep it nice and thin, plonk it back on. None of it's going to go in the box because it's all on the outside. And I'm sure these have a torque setting, but I'm just going to go with what feels right, because that's always done well in the past. Bearing in mind it took a breaker bar to get off, I'm going to go with reasonably tight. It's not a moving part in itself. That feels right. Given how long it took to drain through the last time, I'm expecting this will take a while. room to tuck that under to catch the drips, but that'll have to do when they eventually drip out. Does this stuff smell just as bad as the rest of it? Oh, I spilled it on my lap. So I'll smell of it for days. And yes, if anything, it smells even worse than the limited slip one. Oh, I'm getting some drips come out. And let's start there. Oh, it's so messy doing this stuff. But it does have to be done. You can just see all the sealant. It's taken out a little bit now. There, I think that's plenty. Now I just need to fill a little bit into the turret, which I forgot to do the previous time because I didn't realise it was a thing. So now I don't think I need to go down the full turkey baster to suck out the fluid because it all just poured out the last time. I've seen a couple of references saying there's no particular level or anything to go to, but just to submerge the key components is the main thing. If I can see such things. Oh, the whole thing's come out. Which I didn't want to do, but oh well. So, I think I just want to go just above there, really. Clear out a bit of the gunk on the inside because the fluid that was in here was appallingly bad. So I'm sure it'll be grateful for the new stuff going in. Right, well, I'm going to go with the open bottle, seeing as I pointlessly spent 20-something quid on another bottle of it. Right, I think that's the level. All the key things submerged, a little bit for good luck, and that'll probably do, I reckon. Stick the top back on that one. So for all those people ordering fluids, yes, just 2 bottles are enough. Don't need to buy a third. Right, so it sort of fits in those channels there. And then the bottom has to fall in of its own accord. Yep, this is the bit I struggled with last time. And I'm going to struggle with it again. I've previously discovered that it's actually really difficult to get the gear knob to sit back in the gearbox because the little nylon collar always wants to turn slightly sideways rather than just go straight into the slot it's supposed to sit in, so it takes quite a while to get it in, but it goes in eventually. Yes, he's in. Smashing. Right, now I can finally do the crank pulley bolt, which is apparently supposed to have a little bit of Loctite on it. Which probably won't do much when it's all covered in copper grease, because I copper greased everything. Get the worst of it off. And that's got to go up to 157, so hopefully now I can put it in gear, I'll be able to do that. I'm going to have to stick a screwdriver in the back of that. Did it? So, while I'm on a fluids day, I'm just dropping the oil quickly and hoping it doesn't brim that bowl. Be a bit of a nightmare if it did, but I figured seems like as good a time as any to do it. So put some fresh oil in it in a moment. Right, so not for the first time I said I was going to do one thing and then did something completely different. So I still haven't done the brakes, which are there, but I have cleaned up the shocks and put them on, and I've filled up the gearbox and diff with fluid. So now, apart from an exhaust, this is a completed skate, just ready to be dropped back on. And yeah, not long now. Looking forward to it. So it was at this point where I was putting off doing jobs I didn't want to do, like drilling and tapping holes and rebuilding brake calipers, and I decided that it was as good a time as any to see if I could get it all started and running. Right, well, while I'm waiting for stuff and I haven't been getting on with the brakes, I have been plugging everything back in, and I've used a couple of jump leads to loop up the earths. I think I've found most of the important ones, so hopefully enough to get it started. Used a block of wood just to isolate it from the exhaust a little bit. Still obviously missing lambda number 2, but this is how the car ran when I got it, so I'm hopeful that it will just start up. Although the fuel is now quite old and very low in the tank, so I may need to add a little bit more, but I think I might have some in the cupboard if need be. But ECU up there, I think I've traced everything back. Yes, it looks a bit hillbilly, but if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, then I didn't do something right. But let's firstly see if my really dusty clocks come to life at all when I plug this in. So I did charge the battery when I took it off. Didn't get any spark off it then. So that's not an optimistic start. But in my mind, I have all the key things plugged in. So I'll put a stopper in the end of the brake servo because it's not plugged in yet. I have my starter motor connected up loosely. Should be tight, but it's loose. Alternator loose and finger tight, but it's on. I have put all the evap system in. I probably will try and see if it'll fit in the Exocet for the IVA. Not decided yet, but we'll keep going. So all that's back in. Think I've got all the relays, the fuse boxes, all the other little bits. It's all the driver door stuff, some ancillaries I don't think I ever had. Some gubbins from under the steering wheel, indicator stalks and all that. And most importantly, I have the key, which was taped to the detector, the receiver. And yeah, because I left all the fuel lines intact, I have literally just left them straight from the tank. So fingers crossed. Think I've got everything plugged back in that's important. I've left out the Now deck because I don't think I need that, and I think if I did have it and knocked it, then it would probably blow something up. I have plugged in this other Now deck thing, which I think is also unnecessary, but I don't think that's the sensor. I think this is a series of relays or something because it's next to another one. So I'm optimistic that one's fine. Is that a bracket or a ground? It's really hard to tell on some of these. I think that's just a bracket. Yeah, it's just so much random stuff like switches, and I think that might have been the bonnet switch that is going to need to be cut out of this loom to tidy it all up. But yeah, this is my main block of earths all together. Yeah, so I think that handbrake, I don't think anything that's not plugged in, I don't think is necessary to start the car. I don't know if the battery's going to have any life in it, but I can get a jump starter if need be. But if the clocks light up on the ignition, that will be a good sign. So let's see what happens. They don't light up. Oh, they do light up, second turn. And there was a click from the engine. Do we go for it? Will it turn over? Well, that's about as weak as it gets. Did I get a fuel pump prime though? Oh, I forgot an earth. Hang on. Stick that off a moment. And this one goes right by the fuel tank. Let me see if I can stitch that one into there somehow. Hang on, I'm just going to pop the camera there and see if that can reach that, because that will be why my fuel won't be coming through. So I'm never going to profess to being an automotive electrician of any caliber, but this is the learning curve for me. So if I just tuck that in there so it's in contact, you can't see what I'm doing, but I am doing it just off camera. Right. Nope, that's not as easy to tuck in as I hoped. Right, that is now tucked in. Very crude. Let's see if I can now hear the fuel pump prime. I still can't hear it, but let's go anyway. Oh. Yes, that is very good news. So, starts and runs. And clearly I got my timing right. Brilliant. Yay. Just to prove it wasn't a fluke, here we go again. Now that's worth a beer. Yes. Yeah. Wait, Eddie hasn't put the battery on yet. Look. Yeah. No, don't touch that one. Look, can you turn the key? Can you turn the key?
No touch.
No touch. Look, can you turn it? Ready? This way. Ready? Go. Wow! You did it! Wow!
Thumbs up?
You did it! Thumbs up for Mummy? Yeah, good job, Sam. Well done.